Hi, I'm Casey Jackson.
I'm Miles Rogers, and this is Show Stories, produced by the Hive Mind Collective.
It's a podcast about all things local music.
Great stories from shows past.
And promoting bands, musicians, artists, and producers that are making music in your community.
And now, here's Show Stories.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Show Stories. I'm your producer, Casey Jackson, and this week we're going to be talking more with Miles Rogers. This time, some more Take the Fall stories, and also he's going to be telling us about going on tour with Vampires Everywhere. Later in the podcast, I've got an interview from back in October with Slaves. I was lucky enough to let them use my practice space when they were in town for a show. One of my best friends, Weston Richmond, is their guitar player. They met up with me in their green room before the show, talked to me about some of the crazy venues that they played all around the world. First, here's Miles.
Hot Mike, Olympus High School. I graduated in 05. Prior to graduating, Albany was an indie band I played in. Robbie Pack, Chris Johnson, Jordan Badger. Jordan Badger played for Special Edward, who we'll speak about at some point. My senior year, I was walking through the hall and saw this kid, and we had heard that we were both not in bands. He had heard I got kicked out of that band, Albany, kicked out again. And we kind of high-fived and we're like, hey, let's play together. And that day we met up in his basement and started jamming, and The Lethal West was born. I was CJ Coop.
I really like that band name, by the way. Sorry,
thank you. I love that.
That's like my favorite.
That's a great thing to interrupt me for. I really like that band name, too. I've always loved that band name. He probably came up with it. I would love to think that I did, but it's been so long. And he was a really creative dude, so I'm guessing it was him. He plays for a band now, still, called Racist Kramer.
Okay.
He's the singer. He's doing his own producing and recording and whatnot. He's a good dude. Love you, CJ, if you ever listen to this. But yeah, with that band, we did like the high school battle of the bands, and won, quotations around the word won, because we had CJ's older brother there who had just recently graduated with all of his friends, and they got the whole crowd to chant one more song after we played our one allotted song, and so we just did it. And they cut us off, like pretty much they let us play the whole song pretty much, you know. But they disqualified us because we played 2 songs. And so we got second place. So, like, even though we were quote-unquote disqualified, they knew that they would blow the roof off the place. So
I remember I played one Battle of the Bands, and
those are fun.
Never again.
No, dude. I mean, that was my only one. It was a high school one, and so I figured we were pretty safe. I knew the other bands that were there. And
that's not true either. We played a couple, so I can't really say that. But there's just, like, sometimes there's just some weird politics that go along with those types of shows.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's like I remember that way back in the day, you know, when those, I feel like Battle of the Bands don't even happen anymore, but, like, do you remember Some Dude's Playground?
Yes.
Yeah, bro, when they had bands at Some Dudes by Cottonwood Mall, that shit was the jam. I saw a couple Battle of the Bands, Kick in the Pants played a Battle of the Bands there.
We played a regular show there with End of Story, one of my bands. So I don't think I played a Battle of the Bands there, but yeah.
Oh, you played a regular show at that Some Dudes?
Yeah.
It's the one right by Cottonwood Mall?
No, it was when it was out in West Jordan. It was off of, like, Redwood and 80th.
I find it weird that, like, I thought that was just a situational thing, like, that they could do shows there because, there was also a stage in this building where we were doing a Some Dude's Playground, but I guess they did shows at Some Dude's Playground a lot. That seems odd to me. Yeah. I like that.
I just remember, like, all the little kids having their birthday party come running over because we were playing live music.
Oh, yeah, totally. That would be a part of it for sure. I went to, those were my very, very first shows. No, man, I think the Junction. I think maybe I didn't even go to one of those shows, but the Junction by the Cottonwood Mall. I went to lots of good shows there. I went to a Homegrown and Ritalin Kids by myself because none of my friends cared. And, like, I didn't know anybody at the show. It was, like, one of the weirdest situations. So, like, I went to the show and didn't know anybody. but I loved Ritalin Kids, and I loved Homegrown for some reason. No, for some reason I loved Ritalin Kids. I also loved Homegrown. They were Homegrown was kind of cheesy too, but
Still good stuff.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's a few catchy ones for sure. Back on track. High school battle of the bands. We won. Technically, didn't win. Whatever. But that was the year I graduated. After I graduated, CJ and I and a dude from one of the other bands in the battle of the bands, we saw him and we're like, hey, come play with us. You're pretty rad. James Farnsworth, and he was instrumental in that band progressing because he had Pro Tools and all the mics, and he could do everything. We already had a studio at our disposal, but we didn't really know Pro Tools, but he knew Pro Tools, so
There you go.
all of a sudden we could actually record. So we got a 10 songs, just, I mean, the songs we'd been playing since the jump, and then put it together and, you know, took the photos and printed out everything on photo paper, and like we made like 100 for a CD release show. It was good. It was a lot of fun. I wish we had done more with that, but I mean, I was 18, you know, we were limited. What we pull a couple $100 together and buy a bunch of photo paper, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. Also, like with the internet now, the availability, you pull a couple $100 together and you can place an order to get some actual printed nice CDs and mailed to you, you know what I mean?
This
crazy.
day and age, those kids.
Super wild. But yeah, summer after I graduated, 05, CJ, we were just jamming, and Lauren got in touch with me and told me he was quitting Take the Fall, and I was bummed about that because I liked him being in that band. He was a good homie of mine, and I loved that. But they had gone through so many good second guitar players in such a short period of time that it was just kind of a natural, oh, okay, so Lauren's gone, who's next?
Okay.
Dan McAllister played bass, but also guitar. He like originally played guitar, but like he had been playing bass for bands, and he was actually playing the current bass player for Take the Fall at the time. So he was playing bass for Take the Fall. He decided to move over to guitar, and then they asked me to come play bass, which was like the coolest thing to me because I loved that band at the time. You know, that Love Was a Battlefield record came out, and it's the only thing in my CD player for most of my senior year of high school. Super stoked to be asked to be a part of that, and so yeah, we had a space at Positively. I left the Lethal West, and they acquired a new bass player named Walt. He plays local music still. He's the singer of Tiger Fang now.
Okay.
But he started playing bass for the Lethal West at that point, and they did a record called Starting Over, I think. And then, so I started jamming with Take the Fall. We got a practice space at Positively 4th Street. Super rad. It's like there was like a loft in there. It was like a super tall room with a super high ceiling.
Okay.
And right as you walked in, there was like a little step ladder that led up to a loft. And so, yeah, I mean,
That's bad.
practically lived there for like 2.5, 3 years. Like we would just jam every single day and wrote a bunch of new Take the Fall songs. And like, I don't know, I mean, the goal was to, you know, get on the road and get recording. And the goal should have been to record and get that all finalized, and we didn't get it finalized. We just kind of, we recorded a bunch with Matt Weiniger and kind of left a bunch of songs just raw, you know what I mean, like 6.5 minutes, so we hadn't cut them down yet, and weren't really mixed, and we had easily enough for a full record, but we just didn't really do it.
I just noticed there's so many people, bands here that have been recorded by Weiniger.
Totally.
It'd be interesting to get like a run of like questionnaires to different musicians
I'll
about
give him
Weiniger.
a call and we'll get him on this, bro.
Okay, for sure.
Yo,
Let's do
like
that.
let's get some Slider stories and some recording with Primus stories. That would be sick.
That would be sick. Anyway, back.
Anyway, no, totally. I love it. Matt Weiner's great. He's definitely a staple of Salt Lake music, and he didn't need to be. You know what I mean? He made himself a staple of Salt Lake music because he just came back here and kept his amazing talents in the valley. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Recording out of his mom's house for so many years. It was so tight. It just smells like cat piss. Love you, Matt. Yeah. So we at that time we just had a bunch of, you know, enough songs to our record. We didn't really have a lot of direction. Austin was kind of having his own problems, and we that's when Bert left. So that's when Chris Alder got a cool opportunity, like a band sponsorship, build a band, and so go get some good musicians, and they all bought brand new gear and went to this. They went to Weiniger and recorded with Weiniger. They wrote a really good song. The band was called Murray.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote a really good song that actually like hit X96 and got a lot of play on X96.
Wow.
It was super hard. It's called Celery Stick. It was a good song. I can show you later.
Okay.
So they were doing that, and we were kind of lost. We did the 5-piece Take the Fall for a little while with Steve Beck and with Matt Enright. So Austin was just singing, and he didn't have a guitar. I have a couple pictures on my background. It's funny. They scroll through, and I just see Austin dancing with a microphone. And it's the funniest. I love it. So while playing for I Am the Ocean, Adam from I Am the Ocean started playing for Get Scared. And so Adam was playing second guitar for them, and that was, an amazing opportunity. The kind of opportunity we all wanted, you know what I mean? And he was just like, of course, I'm 100% about I Am the Ocean. Like, that's my dream band. That's my band. I'm just doing this because, I can help spread the word with I Am the Ocean. And naturally you lose focus with I Am the Ocean because you're doing so many things with Get Scared and you're
like a whole new set.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you writing a new record.
Okay.
Do all of Warped Tour, and you know what I mean. So he was just gone. You know what I mean? Pretty. For a little bit, and he was there when he came home. We played I Am the Ocean shows hard. We'd practice all the time. He was very present for us when he was in the Valley, but he was gone a lot. So while he was gone, one of the bands we had toured with in I Am the Ocean was a band called Trances. The only band I toured with in I Am the Ocean. We did the tour after we did the record Overhead. We toured with a band called Trances. The singer of Trances was Jordan Blake. He was like one of the first singers of Skylit Drive. The singer of Watch Out There's Ghosts. He had a lot of just like, flash in the pan bands that, they got some notoriety. People know who he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, Joey Moser, our homie Joey, and DJ Motherfucking Black, my brother. At this point, he wasn't. But DJ hit up Drew, and because he was playing for a band called Vampires Everywhere in Los Angeles. Glam, vampire, like goth rock. You know what I mean? Wearing the makeup and all black, and hair. My beautiful blonde hair was dyed black. It was wild. So DJ calls Drew and says, "I need a bass player for a couple tours that we have coming up." And Drew, I think he just wanted to see me in eyeliner, but he just goes, "Yeah, this is my bass player's number. We're not doing a lot right now because Adam's doing Get Scared." So, and at the time, Drew and Taylor were doing a band called Settle Down with former members of I Am the Ocean. It was I Was the Ocean. It was made up of former and current members of I Am the Ocean. Anyway, Settle Down was sick, dude. They were super sick. I still jam some of their songs. But yeah, just flash in the van for a quick second, and then they were gone. So Drew he gave DJ my phone number, sends me a text and goes, "I'm sending something your way. You should probably do it." He was like involved in like nonprofits at the time, so I'm thinking it's like some petition he wants me to sign or whatever. I'm like, cool, I'll sign it for sure.
About it.
Yeah, whatever. And then I get a text message from a California number, 209 number. "Hey, is this Miles?" And I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "This is DJ. I don't know if you remember me. I played for Trances." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, he was like the wonder kid, like so good at the guitar, and everybody was just talking about that. My exposure to who he was he was just this wonder kid at the guitar, so good at the guitar. And we broed down the first time on this tour. We had a bottle of wine, and we didn't have a wine, so we were trying to get into the bottle of wine, and they were like, "Just push the cork in," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, push the cork in, like it's solid, man, it's not going in there." We ended up we got a steak knife or something somehow, like at this venue. It was this, oh dude, where was the venue? It was like San Diego or something. It was a super, super nice venue. Anyway, we cut the wine cork in half, and like then it shoved down in, and so we were like, it was still half corked. We were just drinking out of what we could, and me and DJ got drunk off this bottle of wine and just became bros. You know what I mean? So he's like, do you remember? And I was like, oh yeah, dude, I remember, whatever. So he's like, I have this tour that I'm going on. Do you know the band Orgy? And I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah. Song's called Blue Monday. That's the song that was like their big. And then they had another one called, I think there was an original called Stitches, right?
Yep.
Was
Yes.
that was an original?
Mm-hmm.
So those were the two songs I can remember. And like
Tuned in Digital. I love that song. Dude.
Oh really? Oh, the Orgy song?
Yes.
Oh, tight. Okay. You know what's up? You would have dug the tour then.
Yes.
It
Orgy.
was sick. It was funny. Like I didn't know Orgy for shit. You know what I mean? Like, so I had like the what Family Values CDs. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
the Family Values 97, 98 CDs
With Korn and Rammstein.
Exactly, because that's who I was listening to. But also that was on the CD, so like you would catch it when you're riding your skateboard, listening to your Discman. That was the only Orgy experience I had. I hadn't heard anything from Vampires Everywhere, so DJ like sent me it, and it was just different than anything I'd ever done. Obviously, I was just like, what? Okay. But I mean, it was an opportunity to get on the road. You know what I mean? And I was ready to jump at that.
Playing music.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, I said yes. I kind of figured out how to work it out with my work. I was working at a pizza place in Sugar House, so they were cool about like, yeah, go for a couple months and then you can come back. And that was the biggest thing that helped. You know what I mean? Because the thing that was tough in my early 20s trying to tour was not having a job when I came home. You know what I mean? So it's like my parents just see me as a bum. You know what I mean? Like just sitting around for a week, and then all of a sudden I'm taking off and I need some money or else I'm going to starve. You know what I mean? So, but they were really patient with me and really awesome. I love my parents. Left my work, got on a plane, left my girlfriend. She was pissed. I left on her birthday. She was way mad. Flew to LA.
How does that always happen?
Yeah, I don't know. It literally, like, he's like, okay, we booked your flight for February 19th. And she's like, are
No,
you
get it.
serious? Like, and she wasn't mad at me because obviously they didn't know. Book flight, get out there. It's crazy. Got to DJ's house, and it's like this little tiny, like, it's a 2-bedroom that they share with this chick. But it's like $1,800 a month for this like tiny, like it's like probably the size of my room in here, like very, very small little room. So they had DJ and his girlfriend Zelda, and then this girl living there, and then all of a sudden I'm there, so it's just extra space. It was hot. It was Los Angeles, you know what I mean? But we were in WeHo, you know what I mean? 100 feet away from Grauman's Chinese Theater, like super sick, West Hollywood.
Okay.
So it was a cool. You were right in it. You know what I mean? Celebrities going to the same grocery store as you. You know what I mean? I got to the tour started on March 5th, but I got to Los Angeles early because they got to teach me I mean, obviously I learned all the songs at home, so that I knew I wasn't going in black. And then DJ kind of sat down with me the first night, and then the next day we had a morning jam at this place called Swing House. Swing House is a place. It's kind of like Positively or downtown, but it's a place that you rent out by the hour, not by the month.
Oh, okay.
And it's like $250 an hour.
Damn.
Yeah, but like Aerosmith practices
Okay.
there to get ready for a tour. So like,
super nice.
yeah, super nice. The biggest room is the one Aerosmith always uses, and we had the biggest room for the first 2 days. So I'm literally standing on the ground where Steven Tyler gets ready for tour, just like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Just
Look
like
at Steven Tyler sweat.
literally, dude. Like I'm gonna lick the floor really quick and get some of that sex power. That was really cool. That was a really cool experience. And like, so we like the gear would be in storage. Get the gear out of storage, get it over to Swing House, and then we'd rent like storage areas at Swing House, practice, pull it out of the storage area, jam in the room, pull it back in there when our 2 hours or 3 hours was done, and dip. So got ready for tour. First night of tour, we were touring in a bandwagon. It's like a size down from a full bus. It's like a semi-truck with a living quarters on the back of it, essentially. 65 miles an hour, they're governed. All of them are governed. The company is actually called Bandwagon. But they're made for band living. You know what I mean? They're 6 bunks in the back and then one big bunk in the front. So you can, and then a bunk up front by the driver, so you can sleep 8. And and then just like a little living quarters with a little like a fucking 40-inch flat screen TV and cable and shit, and then like fridge, and yeah, it was great, dude. It was wild.
Awesome.
You had a generator running all the time,
Yeah.
so it's like you're always in the background. You're always hearing it. So Chad's our driver. He's from the Midwest. We fly him to where the bandwagons are. It's also somewhere in the Midwest. Then he picks up the bandwagon and drives it and the trailer across the country to Los Angeles to pick us up.
Oh, wow.
So we have all the gear in Swing House. Tour is supposed to start March 5th, I believe. Maybe it's March 3rd. Anyways, right around there. It is the night before, so we're ready. We're rehearsed. We're ready to go on tour. They got me all vampired up with my makeup and shit. They taught me how to do it. Hair was dyed black at that point. I showed up to Los Angeles. I had all these colored clothing and like blue jeans. And DJ's like, you can't wear any of that. And I'm like, well, what do you? He's like, Michael he just won't have it. So like, we're a goth crew. We're a goth band. You dress goth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dress the part. Do the thing. And I got it. And I back then I wasn't tattooed, so I was very like, less looking like I should be there. I ended up like getting like grandpa socks and like shredding holes in them and wearing them as sleeves for the whole time I was on tour with the band, because like it looked way tougher, you know what I mean, rather than just having bare clean arms. Michael would make fun of me. Anyway, so Chad's our driver. Chad drives cross country to Los Angeles to pick us up. Where the night before he tells us, yo, I'm like 2 hours out. It's 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, okay, so we either need to lock our shit up in Swing House, and we can't leave until 8 o'clock the next morning, or be when they reopen and we can get our shit back out, or we can pull all of our shit out, pull it onto the street, and wait for Chad. You know what I mean? It's Los Angeles, but like it's a really nice part of Los Angeles, and we're 5 able-bodied, tough-ish dudes. Black hair, makeup, people probably trying to avoid us, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we were just like, should we do it? You know what I mean? And we're fucking, why not? Let's fucking do it. So we just pulled all the gear out, literally just pulled it, dragged it onto the sidewalk.
Wow.
And you just got amps, like everything's in road cases, just amps, fucking guitars, like merch and shit, just everything, just literally in the middle of the road.
Oh my God.
Chad shows up at 7 a.m.
Oh my God.
I think it was even later. It was probably more like 8. It was after 8, because what ultimately ended up happening was, we could have left it in there, and then we still would have left it toward the same. So between the 11 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning, it's March 3rd, and I'm like in a hoodie.
Oh.
We're sleeping on the fucking street.
So you're freezing your
We are
asses
all freezing our asses off.
Oh my God.
You're
not really vampires.
No, exactly, dude. So DJ's house was not too far away, so he went home for a little bit and got some stuff, but he toughed it out and like came back with us. And then he went home later. He was just like, I'm going home to sleep with my girlfriend. You guys tough it out. I was like, all right, you're a dick. But I mean, it's whatever. I was out there. I loved the opportunity to be out there. It was kind of a funny thing. I made a fort. So I put 2 of the wheeled road amps next to each other. We were up against this wall that was like covered in vines, right?
Okay.
I probably had bugs crawling on me, whatever. So I like set up a little, I was sitting on something, leaning up against the vines, and then an amp on either side of me, and then I had a fucking bass leaned up against me, just blocking me. So I had a little fucking spot that I could tuck in there and just kind of get some warm air. Dude, it was one of the longest nights of my whole life,
That
dude.
sounds crazy.
Because like we didn't sleep, you know what I mean? You'd kind of doze off and wake up. You're like, I'm on the fucking street in Los Angeles, like trying to sleep. You know what I mean? Like we'd take turns, fucking, hey, you can sleep for a little while. I'm gonna fucking sit right here. You know what I mean? And so like, I don't know, get drunk a little bit, just smoking cigarettes all night on the streets of Los Angeles. Chad shows up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was not a good way to get on tour with, it was we got on a bad foot with him, because we were just fucking all night cursing his name, super pissed. Goddamn fucking Chad! Where the fuck is Chad?
There wasn't like some sort of ETA he could have sent you?
Well,
or
so
something?
he ETA'd us and told us 2 hours. So we pulled the trigger on it.
That would be why you pulled the trigger.
So we pulled the trigger on it, and then he was just like, yeah, I'm about an hour out. And so like we'd call him in an hour, and he's like, yeah, I'm about an hour out.
Lies.
He was literally.
What's the point of that? What is the point of that?
I don't know.
I don't get
By the third time, we're like, okay, Chad, tell us where the fuck you really are, because you keep saying you're an hour out. Tell us where you are right now, so we know when to expect you. I think that time he's like, probably about 8, man. Probably about 8:30. Should be
my
there.
God.
So like he would,
That's
and
livid,
the
man.
thing is he would have, if he had, he probably stopped off to go to sleep for a second, because if he would have pushed it, he wouldn't have hit Los Angeles morning traffic. But he hit Los Angeles morning traffic with a bandwagon and a trailer. So it was crazy. It was a crazy way to get tour started, but that was a really, really long tour. I think it was like 40 shows or 45 shows.
Wow.
It
One every night?
Oh yeah, I mean pretty much we had like 1 day off a week, 2 days off a week sometimes. We started in Phoenix, and then just cut across the south through Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Just trying to remember what else was down there. Hit Florida, played 4 shows in Florida, and then rolled up the coast, all the way up as far as like New Jersey and like New York, obviously. New York was really sick. We played at a place called Webster Hall.
Was it all headlining the whole time?
No, so
Or was
Orgy.
it-
So the whole thing was
Orgy.
Orgy,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So the whole thing was like
That's right.
Orgy's rebirth. No, you're totally fine. The whole thing was Orgy's rebirth. They were going to try to like re-attack the goth scene, thinking goth was going to come back, which I feel like it kind of has in a lot of aspects, but they didn't hit it hard enough. You know what I mean? They did the one tour, and then I never heard anything about them again. They should have done a couple. You know what I mean?
Done a new album.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I mean that was the other thing, is they didn't have any new material to share on the road. It was like he had like 1 or 2 new ones, and then it was the old classics. They got encored in a town and played the Blue Monday song for a second time. It was crazy.
See, I really liked. It was electronic stuff, but they could fucking go hard.
It was heavy.
Yeah,
No, it was hella
that's
heavy.
what I liked about.
And that was the why they had 2 goth bands opening for him. They had this band called Davey Suicide, which is, I mean, Davey was like his own thing, and then he would hire a band to come on with him. But like one of the bass player ended up taking over for me in Vampires. He lived in Los Angeles, and so he was a goth dude, and he ends up fucking, hey, that'll work. Cool, come play for me. So anyway, Davey Suicide opened, and we were main support, and then Orgy every night.
Okay.
And so you'd have a couple of locals probably before, and then that's how the show would go. Super, super fun. I liked being main support because you could get it done and then have the rest of your night. Enjoy your night. Have a few drinks, you know what I mean? Like watch Orgy play for the 40th time. It was good. Met a lot of people, man. Met a lot of cool people. Made a lot of cool connections. Have a few from touring then, a few friends in New York, a few friends in Florida. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm stuck with friends from New York and Florida. We hit Florida. We hit only once. We hit New York twice. We played the same place twice, Webster Hall. That place was cool. They literally blocked off the front of the venue for our buses. So it was like you had 2, in Philadelphia, we couldn't be bothered. They blocked off a spot a mile away.
Oh, man.
So literally we're in our bus, like pre-drinking and like putting our makeup on and shit. Then we've got to walk through fucking Philly heat.
Oh my God.
It's 100 degrees, just sweating all of our makeup and shit, and just people are just like, what is happening? Because we just we had girls with us and shit, like we just looked funny. You know what I mean?
It's a bunch of vampires walking down
Exactly.
the freaking street in Pennsylvania.
It's sweaty vampires, nonetheless. You know what I mean? I feel like vampires.
They're melting. Get them out of the sun.
Exactly. Get them out of the sun, bro. But that ended up being a really fun show, that show in Philly. But back to New York, Webster Hall was super sick. Blocked off a spot right in front of the venue. My aunt came out to see me. She lives in New York. She's lived in New York my whole life, so she came out to see me. And my cousin, who was stationed on, he's on a submarine, a nuclear submarine. It was in port or whatever, and so he was just had shore leave, and so he came out to the show and actually hung out.
Was that in Virginia?
No, that was in New York City.
New York City.
In New York
Oh,
City.
okay. That's so cool.
I don't know how close he was. I don't know if he was in New York, but he was. I have shore leave, and I'm a day's train away, or a half a day's train away from you. The East Coast is amazing because everything's connected by trains, and you have major cities that you can get to, on a train in an hour. Where Utah, you got to make arrangements. You want to take a train.
Is a lot more spread out.
Yeah, crazy. So New York City was really cool, really cool. After we played the show, we had this, like, I think the label set it up. I don't remember. It was like a party, and we had like the VIP section, and we knew this girl. She had like bottle service for us, so we just like had like 5 bottles that were just at our disposal.
Very nice.
And yeah, we just showed up, and there were all these people like waiting to get in for us, and like, pulled the velvet rope. Let's go.
We'll have lots more stories from Miles in future podcasts. Also, me and Miles will be talking about some of the shows that we've been going to in the last few months here in Salt Lake City. Talk to you about some of the local bands that you should be checking out. The next segment is my interview with Slaves back in October of 2019. Like I said, one of my best friends, Weston Richmond, plays guitar for them. And they met up with me in their green room to talk about some of the crazy venues they played all over the world. Here's my interview with Slaves. I'm sitting here with Slaves. Thanks you guys again for doing this interview with me. I've been a fan of you guys for a long time, so it's really cool to like get this interview and fucking be sitting here with you guys. It's fucking awesome. What earlier bands have you guys been in a little bit where you guys played before? Or
this is Felipe, and I play guitar in Slaves. I wasn't in a whole lot of bands before this one, but I was in 2. The more popular one was a band called Broadway from back of the day. They had like one cool record in 2009 that people seemed to really like, and we did a couple tours off of that. That lasted for a couple of years. And then before that, I was in a band from my hometown in Florida, and that was called Pathway to Providence. And that was just kind of like a little local band that started to get a little traction. Kind of a funny story now. The singer is now in Palisades. His name is Lou Maselli, but we grew up together. And Colin's from the same town, so we all grew up playing music. Those are pretty much like the only bands that I've been in that were actually anything serious.
How's it going? I'm Wes. I play guitar in Slaves as well. And Casey, you obviously know the bands I've come from. I'm a local boy, so I've been in a band with you called Drown Out the Stars, and then another band called The Stranger Beside Me. But Slaves is pretty much the only one that's done internationally and stuff like that that's been successful. So,
hello, I'm Colin, and I play bass in Slaves. Welcome in, Zach. I played in a band called Musical Chairs before this. It was like an indie band based out of California, Sacramento. And a couple high school bands, but Slaves is the first successful, I would say, on this level, successful band that I've been in. Matthew?
Hi. Hey, what's up? This is Matt. I was in 2 bands in high school. One was called Other People. One was called Hollow Shoulder. You haven't heard of them until now. And then I went solo when I went to college. And now I'm back in a band.
Hi, it's Zach. So first ever bands that I was in, there was one called Fear the Flood that never made it out of the garage. It's fantastic. No, actually, surprisingly, we did not. Smart one, though. Nice, yeah.
I feel like that's just you wearing regular size pants.
No, definitely. Well, for me then, I didn't even know what skinny jeans were, so they're just like baggy, either like athletic shorts or shorts, and everyone else is looking all like nice and seen, got those haircuts going and all that. Then I was in a cover band called Lars Lair. We were great, man. Yeah. No, actually. More so Motorhead, actually. Yeah, Motorhead. I know. The front man was Lars, dude. All right, I don't know. Anyway, and then I played in a band called Day Shell for a couple years, and then here I am now. So fun stuff.
One of the questions I had, have you guys played in any like super shitty like DIY venues on tour that you can remember that are just like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, let me show you the roof, and it's fucking like, you know what I mean?
I'm thinking Thrills. Okay, so I'll just say one. I'll save the New Zealand one for another person. But there was like this local arcade. We come from a very small town. And there was this local arcade, and there was nowhere for bands to play. So they just kind of like moved all the asteroid machines aside and like the skee ball machines and just let us play. And the people didn't really know how to run shows. So like the place closed down within a year. People just trashed it and like smoked cigarettes outside. And like, I don't know. It was just like, it was cool for the town just because like there was finally a place for bands to play, but you could clearly tell they didn't know how to run it. We didn't know how to treat it, and that was a time for sure.
I'm pretty sure me, Colin, and Felipe were all thinking of the same one. So no, I was gonna go with the one in Scotland, the bar. It was like Dundee. Yeah, fucking yeah. The stage was wrapped around the side of a bar, so Felipe was like clear on one, like 15 feet away from us, and a railing separating him from like the whole band. Like, yeah, but that one was really shitty. Fun show still, but.
Yeah. I'm gonna go even farther back. There was this little place called the Coffee Connection. So Daytona Beach, Florida. This was like, me and Felipe's local bands, and any like band from the Daytona Beach area would know what this venue was. It was literally a coffee place during the day, and like the worst music venue ever at night. And it was one of the few places to play in Daytona Beach at the time. So yeah, Coffee Connection. Also didn't know how to be ran, didn't have proper equipment. We loved it. It was great.
It's a pretty good venue, but yeah, I just remember the one show we played. It was in some Scandinavian country that there was a toilet in the shower. Thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, was it? It was in Oslo or something. I don't know. Yeah, it was like, so it was just a bathroom with like a toilet in the back, and then there was a shower head that was connected to the sink. And yeah, so like. I don't know. You could multitask, I guess.
Also, we have Auckland, New Zealand, which was Christchurch. Yeah, it was Christchurch. How would I even explain this? It was like a speakeasy, like.
It was a comedy club.
Oh yeah, it was a comedy club. That's
it was
what.
About the size of this fucking room.
Yeah, it was about the size of this green room, which is very small, and our singer at the time had to play.
Put the monitors out like 8 feet in front of the stage and just.
Yeah. Our singer at the time had a he was just singing in the crowd, and I think that we could just get like the drum set on the stage, and yeah, Christchurch was never again, never again. Sorry, Christchurch.
Well, back in the day, Shell days, Matt, who's in here, him and I played at this venue in Wisconsin called The Sanctuary. We had to go up 4 flights of stairs, no elevators to get our gear up there, no green rooms, no nothing, and it's like, so you're going from like freezing cold outside Wisconsin, maybe like 20 degrees, walking in, and the first thing that happens is you get blasted by this heater that's hitting you with like 90-degree hot, humid, gross air, and you're just carrying gear and sweating from like freezing like right away, and it's just I don't know, horrendous, but not a bad venue ultimately. Like,
Question I had for you guys, just some band influences, personal. If you guys have any of those that you can share, that'd be cool.
So personally, the band that got me into music was definitely Blink-182. Yeah, they're just, when Enema of the State came out and I listened to it, I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's what I want to do. Since then, obviously, my musical taste has grown a little bit. Right now, personally, I'm really digging the 1975. A lot more pop stuff. I'm getting into a little bit of hip hop. Just trying to like branch out, try different styles of music, and a lot of slower acoustic stuff too has really been speaking to me. So yeah.
I'm all over the spectrum here. I have like shit like Thrice and Circus Survive, and then I go to like As Lay Dying, Unearth, Oh Sleeper. Then I have like Turnpike Troubadours, which is country, like just a handful of different crap, you know. Great crap.
I guess I could say Circus Survive. Also, I really fell into the Radiohead trap for like years. That was like my favorite band. Muse, Silverchair. Awaken I Am. I've been listening to them a lot lately, and why am I blanking on their name? I listen to them all the time. Oh yeah, Bring Me the Horizon, but that's not who I was thinking of. Sun Sleep, yes. Which is Homeboy coming? Oh, sweet, cool. Devin, yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, Sun Sleep, Bring Me the Horizon. I've been listening to that album a lot lately. What about you, Matt?
I just first got into music. I was really into Radiohead, Modest Mouse, kind of got me into it. And then I did the solo thing. I was really into Bob Dylan and John Mayer. And then like 2014, I got into Sempiternal by Bring Me. Saw them live, and saw Issues too. And I remember thinking, oh man, that'd be really cool to do something like that. And it took me until 2019 to have an opportunity to kind of do something like that, which is cool. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, this is really good. So, oh yeah, dude. Okay, so first, when I grew up, I loved dad rock, and I still do to this day. I'm all about some Breaking Benjamin, some Shinedown, some Nickelback, bro, all of it. And then, but as of more recent, it's been more so, I guess, like proggy kind of music, like Pliny. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly. Pliny. All right, here we go. Poppy stuff, kind of like. Oh no, not like poppy. All right. Anyway, but no, like more so like poppy stuff as well, like Halsey, Ed Sheeran, and I don't know, some heavy stuff as well. I get into some Chelsea Grin and some like whatever heavy music. I'm all over the spectrum, more so now than I was before. So, oh yeah, and Dirty Loops. Dirty Loops is sick.
After Beautiful Death, and you guys are touring a little bit. Are you guys? I was watching a Facebook Live thing that you guys were doing that was saying you were in the studio right now. How's that coming, and what are plans for the future right now?
We actually wrapped up the studio about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. The record is done. Took us a total of 6 weeks in Chicago, and essentially it was just kind of like, we felt this vibe with Matt that we had to get in there and try and see what the dynamic was between all of us. And I don't think any of us knew what we were in for until we got in there. And I can honestly say it's probably the thing I'm most proud of personally, musically, that I've ever done. The songs came together really well. Everybody pulled their weight. Everybody helped bring these songs to life and crafted them in a way that I think people are really going to enjoy, and they're going to feel them the way that we feel them. And aside from that, the plans for the future are just, put out new music and start the new era of Slaves, and, have everybody kind of see what we're about now, and play more shows, play live music, and move forward from there.
Thank you so much for giving me this interview, and I'm excited to see this show. It's going to be fucking badass. Well, that's our show for episode 2. Thanks for checking it out. As usual, make sure to check out all the bands and projects mentioned in this episode, especially Vampires Everywhere. Check out some old Orgy. Definitely check out my friends Slaves. We want to especially thank them for giving us an interview for our podcast. I want to thank Miles Rogers for all the hard hosting work that he does. Make sure to check out episode 3 of Show Stories, dropping next Friday. Thanks again for listening, and as always, we'll see you in the crowd. Hey, thanks for listening to Show Stories.
If you play local music in Salt Lake City,
Or if you love all things local music and have some interesting stories to share,
come sit down with Miles and Casey and be a guest on an upcoming episode of Show Stories.
you can get in touch with us by email at thehivemindcollectiveslc@gmail.com.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Hive Mind, COLSLC.